Hey, Flame. Okay. I think there is one more permanent addition which I get by having the sledgehammer powered up and the secret garden on the east side of the house. Hey, so just catching the last hour of yesterday's stream. I got you. I got you right here. Ooh, I kept ornate compass. That's nice. Lurian, hello. Oh, wait. Let's just go. Did I do the thing? There's a shrine, and I got Blessing of the General. And I have Banner of the King. Rooms of the chosen color are more likely to be drawn while drafting today. You can choose black? Huh? What? Okay. What are those? Hold on. The only thing I know of that's been black so far has been the crypt. Josh B. Oh, once I've chosen, I've chosen. Okay, that's fine. I don't entirely know what I'm doing anymore. Gail Matrino. There's been a lot. Hey, Mayashi. 3 times 10 minus 20. Negative 5 times 2 plus 14. Negative 1 squared times 10. 10. Invictus. I do enjoy the game. D&D got cancelled. Sorry to hear it. Oh no. We started this already. Curse of the Black Bridge. Maybe that's green, I don't know. Curse of the Black Bridge by Redford Ruling. The game's basically Balatro. Well, okay. I am the first borrower on December 7th. Forward. The legend of Black Bridge is one that's well known to the people of the Grand Realm, for versions of this tale have been passed down from generation to generation. With each new telling, the story has changed, becoming over the years more colorful, more verbose, and, as one might expect, increasingly horrifying. However, with so many renditions and unique personal touches, the task of confining and binding this tale to text seemed an ambitious and impossible challenge. Over the course of my research, I have heard dozens of variations of the legend. And while the details would often change, I was surprised how much of the story's heart remained the same. Yet the more I listened, the clearer it became that there could never be a definitive version of this tale capable of capturing all the wonder and myth of Black Bridge. In the end, I chose to write down what felt most authentic, the story my grandmother told me as a boy long ago. Part 1. The Berry Picker from Oris. I am keeping so many notes. So many notes. Many years ago, before peace had become a familiar word, there lived a group of rogues so wayward that the locals deemed it appropriate to call their number the Unholy Hounds. They were feral outlaws composed of society's worst in a time when society was at its worst, and for each crime that fearful travelers credited to the group, a dozen more lay unclaimed, each worse than the last. For the gentry, however, who often value their coffers more than their companions, no crime could measure more wicked than the group's primary enterprise, highway or high road robbery. One such member of the so-called band of rogues was a boy of 13 years, Jesper, who had not been lucky in life, having lost 2 brothers to war and parents to famine. In the years of hunger that followed, Jesper lived in a gutter behind a churchyard, relying on the nourishment of scurrying bugs and weeds harvested from the cracks of the alleyway to sustain his pitiful existence. It is not surprising that a child aiming to escape such hardships would take any easy road out. An easy and well-traveled road, paved with temptations, leading out of the city and into the gentry lands, where loose purse strings entwine with the strands of salvation and glisten equally with the hope of opportunity. It was this road that eventually led Jesper to the end of his youth, a hidden cave at the bottom of Blackbridge Canyon. It was here that he met his surrogate family and saviors, the notorious gang of godless outlaws known as the Unholy Hounds. Despite the hardened circumstances that had led him to his vocation of banditry, Jesper was surprisingly tender-hearted and was often teased by the group for being too kind for such an ignoble life. For this reason, Jesper was assigned the innocent role of berry picker. It was not just innocence that set berry picking apart from the gang's more wicked undertakings, for it was the only duty performed without the safety of night's concealment. Jesper, no stranger to solitude, did not protest that he alone worked while the others slept soundly, tucked away in the cave at the bottom of Blackbridge Canyon. On one such occasion, Jesper decided to get an early start. He left the cave, berry basket in hand, and set out into the woods before the morning sun had even brushed against the tallest treetops. It was colder in the mornings, but the headway dawn afforded meant Jesper could reach the furthermost berry patches without worry of being chastised for tarrying upon his return. It took over 3 hours on foot to reach his destination, and along the way Jesper had passed by many a familiar bush, all priorly pillaged and so bereft of berries that one would have to dedicate several moments in earnest examination before finding a single one. Jesper was patient, but even patience has its limits. He was confident that even accounting for the time lost to this long stretch of travel, his efforts would be well worth the pains. Surveying the patches in this new grove surprised even Jesper. The red dots suspended among the leaves seemed as numerous as stars in the skies. Upon seeing such a bounteous sight, he clutched his berry basket tightly and nearly toppled over out of joy. Once he had regained his senses, Jesper quickly made a decision. He would not reveal the location of this newfound treasure. Instead, he would earn the respect of his confederates who, upon seeing his yield, might attribute his success to hard work. Smiling at his plan, Jesper set off to fill his basket, and was making steady strides in this task when the sound of thundering hooves interrupted him. A carriage! A carriage is approaching. The thought of it made Jesper freeze. Had he been so enchanted by his discovery that he had neglected to observe his surroundings? How could a roadway be so close? He ducked down and crept toward the impending sound, hiding behind one of the larger bushes nearby. It was only a moment more before the sound's source revealed itself. Within 50 paces of where Jesper hid, an elegant carriage with gold trim came soaring around a corner of trees, led by 2 beautiful white horses and conveyed by a stern-looking driver seated atop the vehicle, flaunting the most sophisticated regalia Jesper had ever seen. It was not just any carriage, it was a royal carriage. Even without ever having witnessed such a sight before, Jesper was certain. The sight had so transfixed Jesper that he stood awestruck, unable to tear away as the carriage approached. The little concealment the bush provided was soon proven unequal to the driver's lofty perch, and upon spotting the boy, he pulled the reins with such effect that the noble steed slid to a sudden halt with precise control. "You, boy! Get out from behind that bush!" he shouted with a rigidity that betrayed a modest amount of fear. "You startled me half to death, coming around the bend of my own drive, and me seeing such an unfamiliar face in a place where there ought not be any face." Jesper quickly contemplated running. The man was much older, and his dress was suitable for courtly behavior, not dashing through the bramble and mud. I was picking berries." Jesper raised the half-filled basket up to allow the driver to see the proof of his words. The demeanor of the man suddenly changed. It was a change that Jesper was familiar with. He had many times seen the same stern expressions of the most fiendest bandits melt away when presented with a berry basket. Any suspicions that the driver might have had instantly evaporated, for even the notion of a member of the Unholy Hounds picking berries seemed farcical. The softened expression even made allowances for a smile. "Berries, eh? Say, you couldn't have picked a better spot for them, could you? I used to pick berries here as a boy." Jasper took his cue to finally step forward out from behind the bush, proudly brandishing his basket. I know, and what luck I found them. I have only just begun picking, and look how many I have. It would have taken me fourfold the time back home to procure this number. The driver bent down for a closer look. And where is your home, boy? It must be quite far. Professor replied with a scripted response. A little south of Tanner Fork, just past the burnt woods. Tanner Fork again. Interesting. My God, that is far. You couldn't have come all that way only this morning. It was true. Tanner Fork was in the exact opposite direction that Jasper had traveled. And while that response would seem perfectly reasonable in a location closer to Blackbridge Canyon, he could see why it might seem less believable here. Sir, I have traveled much farther for much less profit. I dare say there is no distance yet made by man that would not be worth undertaking for a prize such as these. Surely you have tasted them for yourself? Jasper felt happier with this response, as it seemed to amplify the man's smile. In my youth, often, but perhaps I took it for granted because I never had to travel very far. And even then, my father would always drive us here in our carriage, so I'm ashamed I never had to walk such a stretch to earn an equal reward. It was Jasper's time to smile. Then let my efforts reward us both today. He raised the basket even higher. A taste and memory of your youth, sir. The driver chuckled and removed one glove, bending over the seat to reach down to the basket. And at the moment his fingers touched the first berry, the dagger in turn met his throat, cutting through a superficial layer of skin and drawing blood. Jasper caught the man's startled eyes. And for that taste, I will have your purse, sir, in memory of my youth. The driver's arm had gone stiff, his chin raised and trembling, more frightened than he had ever been before. Whether unable or incapable of speaking, he did not respond to the boy. Perhaps he did not think his jaw could afford to be engaged at this particular time. Jasper let the basket drop, freeing his other hand to probe the man's pockets. Do not mistake me, sir. I will not kill you if you give me no cause, though I will admit, the thought of taking your carriage and leaving you the indignity of walking appeals to me. Unable to find a purse in the man's coat, Jasper pivoted to searching the seat under him. Why have you no purse upon your person? The driver slowly raised his hand cautiously, pointing toward the carriage door behind him. Jasper lowered the knife's edge a small degree to allow the man to speak, which he did in turn softly. There's a lockbox in the carriage. Well, come down then and grant me the courtesy of sparing your life and binding your hands, a concession I assure you of my tender heart, or it would be much easier to slit your throat. The man started to comply, slowly lowering himself from the driver's seat of the carriage. Once down, Jasper guided him away from the carriage to a nearby tree, where he instructed him to get on his knees and put his hands behind his back. Excusing his inexperience, the man indulged Jasper while he figured out how to adequately bind him. The smiling kindness Jasper had seen on this man's face, now nothing more than a distant memory. In their place, cold, dark eyes displaying no emotion. I wonder, should I grant you the same clemency you are showing me? Jasper stopped, surprised by the question, but ignored it. Secured the final bindings, and then hastily returned to the carriage. With one hand on the door's handle, he turned back to the man. There is no lockbox. There will be no clemency. Inside, the carriage was surprisingly dusty and unswept, a stark contrast to the elegant and polished golden facade of the interior. It had apparently been many years since a passenger had enjoyed passage in this vehicle. This all but confirmed what Jasper had suspected. The driver of this carriage was not a liveried servant in the employ of some greater master. Any curiosity that this observation might have further produced was quickly abandoned upon seeing what rested under the carriage's backseat. A large wooden lockbox. Despite its hefty appearance, the box was surprisingly easy to handle. Within a few minutes, Jasper had dislodged it from its hold and carried it out into the sunlight. Inspecting the box carefully, two observations were made. Totemic symbols found carved on all four sides of the box hinted that the box was very old and likely not created by Arindian hands. It reminded him of artifacts from the old world and was presumably crafted in one of the ancient realms. Secondly, the box was secured by a rusty yet robust padlock and would not open easily without a key. Jasper looked over to see the driver quietly observing from his indentured position. You perhaps have a key you can provide me to open this box. Without emotion, the driver replied, There is no key to that box. Jasper stood up. Easy enough, then. He headed over to a nearby rock of sizable dimensions and lifted the stone up, carrying it back to the box. If there was ever a time when that lock had been resistant to brute force, it wasn't recent. With one hit, the stone had completely shattered the rusted lock. He bent back down and opened the lid. Inside was an effigy, a crude figure chiseled from stone. Without too much deliberation, Jesper bent down and picked it up, somewhat surprised how heavy it seemed given how light the box had felt. Having expected to find something more akin to gold or gems, he looked questioningly to the man, hoping to find an explanation. The driver's smile had once again returned. "You are cursed, boy, for deadly is the stone. You have opened that which should never have been opened, and you are cursed." Jesper carried the effigy over to the man and shoved it in front of his face. "What is that?" "That's one." Feeling his disappointment rising to anger now, Jesper tightened his grip on the effigy. "One what, you mumbling agentor? And in God's name, why have you no purse upon your person?" The man did not seem intimidated. "One pace." He paused for effect. 12 more and you will be dead." He only had a second to flinch before the effigy struck him in the head and put an end to his cryptic ramblings. If there was ever a time when the old man had been resistant to brute force, it wasn't recent. Jesper looked down at the sculpted stone figure, now splattered red. Was it cursed? Was he cursed? He had, of course, heard stories of curses, and had never doubted their validity in the past, but now that he was standing face to face with the possibility of being cursed, his mind pleaded with him to be skeptical. And if he was cursed, what difference would the knowledge make? A dozen more paces would not be enough to find another living soul, to say nothing of the chances of procuring a remedy. If he did not move from where he now stood, he could live maybe another 3 or 4 days, maybe given the abundance of nearby berries. More. A plan that, if we ignore its obvious faults, might provide additional opportunities for help to come along, but what good would that do? To be discovered here, beside a body, stolen goods in hand, bloated from berries, and raving about a curse that could very well not be real. No, it would most certainly be better to face one's fate now, take a dozen paces, and see if life goes on. But Jesper found his legs unable to make that first step. His mind was unable to convince his limb to waste away 1/12 of his life in a single motion. Feeling desperation sink in, he hopelessly looked about him for a solution, and if, by some stroke of luck, the gods had heard his plea, a miracle materialized before him as if he found himself suddenly at the end of a fairy tale. 2 white horses and a carriage of golden trim were beside him, the answer to his immediate prayers. He left at his fortune and calculated the short number of paces back to the road. 4, perhaps only 3 if he jumped. He made a quick survey to see if there was anything he wished to grab before taking the plunge. He thought about removing the driver's fancy coat, as that appeared to be of some value, but the additional risk of undertaking such a task, too great to chance. He thought about removing the driver's fancy coat, as that appeared to be of some value, but the additional risk of undertaking such a task too great to chance. I don't trust that paragraph. And so, after a profound breath, he took his 2nd, 3rd, and 4th steps, though they were quite large. Seated now behind the horses, he reached for the reins and suddenly realized that he was still gripping the effigy. If the curse was real, then it would most certainly be better left here. If, on the other hand, the story was fictitious, there might be some appraisal that could be made of the figure. It was, after all, found within a lockbox, whose typical function ought to secure as objects of value. Having witnessed firsthand the horrors of destitution, Jesper found his mind equally reluctant to allow his hand to let go. If it is cursed, I die. If not today, then tomorrow. And if I die, what care have I? And with that statement said aloud, to the horses seemingly, Jesper took up the reins with confidence. Part 2, Below the Black Bridge. This is very long. The other books have not been this long. We're in the library, nobody. Hello, Twitch chat, how are you? And we are reading The Curse of the Black Bridge or something. What is this book? Curse of Black Bridge. I have read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 double page turns so far. That's 24 pages. This is like a book. Hey, Webcole. Part 2, Below the Black Bridge. I do wonder, is that a chair? Yeah, that's a chair, I think. Miller awoke to some light nudging from a familiar foot. Only one person would have the cheek to awaken her, in such ill-mannered fashion. Shaking the sleep from her eyes, she glared up at him in the darkness, but did not say a word. He nudged her again, teasingly, then stepped back into the dim. After taking a moment for her eyes to adjust to the darkness of the cave, Miller remembered she was on third watch today. Quietly collecting her things and wits, Miller turned as she left, waving to her young friend, who was more than likely already asleep. She crept through the cavern's main passage, careful to not wake the sleeping bandits around her. Like a hero in a book, she often mused. Quietly, she grabbed a bow from the haphazardly formed pile of weapons, shaking the accompanying quiver in the darkness to assess how many arrows it held. She then walked toward the sun-drenched mouth of the cavern, ready to start her shift. Above her, in one of the few trees found in the canyon, Miller could see that Ravia was already posted. She waved, and Ravia waved back. Calling out to each other was strictly forbidden. Anything louder than a gesture in the canyon was forbidden. When Miller reached the tree, Ravia lowered a braided rope and pointed to the ground behind her. Miller turned, following the finger, and saw a pail of water resting beside a nearby log. She turned back to Ravia, nodded, and secured the pail to the rope. The pail went up first, and in turn, Miller followed. Ravia reached across to grab the water. Miller leaned back to give her space. There was not much room for maneuvering in this tree post, a necessary concession for the concealment the outpost demanded. Ravia tilted the pail up to her mouth dramatically, illustrating how thirsty she had been. Miller laughed silently as water poured out, splashing onto Ravia's face. It was a bit too daring and noisy of a joke, and had the others been around, they would have certainly been scolded for the unwarranted sound. But Miller appreciated the efforts Ravia took to verbalize the silence of the morning. They'd been on third watch together for over a month, and during that speechless time their friendship had grown into something special. Affection was unsurprisingly scarce among the unholy hounds. She had felt camaraderie before, but, of course, intimacy never. From their elevated vantage, the girls could see both the concealed entrance of the cavern as well as a clear view of the bridge that spanned across the canyon. Blackbridge was the link between the Gentry lands and the northern mountains, the overpass that connected Orris and Reddington. To the city-faring travelers of the realm, the bridge was an unavoidable crossing. In the day, the task was to ensure that travelers passed by without stopping. At night, the task was to ensure they do. Like most of her band, Miller preferred the night. The biting glare of the sun might be tolerable to farmhands and bricklayers, but to a cavern-housed bandit, it was a source of constant annoyance. In the day, there was no shroud to conceal her expressions, nor to hide her thoughts. She felt exposed. Ravia touched her elbow and pointed up. Miller, striving to suppress a budding smile, subtly shook her head in response. There were many signs that the unholy hounds used in lieu of words, but the two of them had developed an extended vocabulary. Gestures quietly forged in the shared solitude of their month among the branches. She watched as Ravia shifted, placing her palms flat on the floorboards beneath them. Miller knew what she was trying to say, but shook her head a second time. It was often more fun to pretend not to understand. Ravia rolled her eyes and turned away, looking back to the canyon. Squinting through the leaves, the two girls held still, watching and listening. It was not long until Miller, too, heard the sounds of approach. She touched her elbow and pointed up. And then she shifted, placing her palms flat on the floorboards beneath them. Touched her elbow and pointed up. And then, I don't know what that means. Ravia held up two bent fingers, and a few moments later, two men emerged from the bridge's southern end. They were dressed in a familiar uniform, long gray coats with black facings, white waistcoats, and black tricorn hats. They belonged to the local patrol, the Blackguard. Although not an everyday occurrence, their presence at Blackbridge wasn't an unusual sight. It typically indicated an important traveler's impending passage across the bridge, information that the girls would promptly relay to their leaders as soon as the coast was clear. But this report, while exciting, was rarely acted upon. In Miller's 5 years in the Unholy Hounds, she had never once seen a carriage taken in open daylight when the Blackguard was nearby. The men had nearly reached the bridge's north end when Miller heard the horses, faintly at first, but growing louder with each passing moment. Ravia's eyes met Miller's, the same concern mirrored in each other's expression. This did not sound like the typical carriage cautiously approaching the bridge to cross. Instead of the familiar crunch of the high road's gravel, they heard the harsh clattering of hoofbeats against stone. Both girls quickly redirected their attention downwards, looking through the foliage. The sounds were not coming from the high road, but from the canyon itself. The horses were coming from below the bridge. In an instant, Miller had knocked an arrow and drawn her bow. Go! Ravi was gone before the whisper had even left Miller's mouth. The young scout was already sliding down the bank below, racing toward the cave. There was no road that ran below the canyon. There was no reason for numerous horses to be approaching their cave. There was only one reasonable conclusion, and both girls had reached it instantly. The base had been compromised. This was a blackguard attack. The moment the horses came to view, Miller let loose her first arrow. She was surprised to see a carriage. She had expected cavalry. Before she even finished processing that thought, her second arrow was in the air. Without a trail, it would be unthinkable for a carriage to traverse such rough terrain, yet she watched as the wheels jolted over the rocky riverbed. A third arrow was now in flight, and there would be no need for a fourth. The driver slumped over just moments before the vehicle dipped into a small ditch, slamming into an embankment. The force of this sudden halt immediately shattered the front two wheels and catapulted the driver from his seat. Utterly confused now, Miller quickly glanced over her shoulder to see if any horses were also approaching from the rear. Down in the canyon, the entire horde of the unholy hounds came spilling forth from the earth as if hell itself had suddenly sprung open. The group seemed even more bewildered than Miller, half asleep and tripping over one another in a desperate attempt to engage an unseen enemy in combat. Miller could see Ravia among their number, the only one looking up at her. Her expression was chilling. There would be no need for a silent gesture to convey what they both now realized. They had made a mistake. The gang's chieftain, Jeffrey Heartslasher, led the others, cautiously approaching the crashed carriage like a suspicious fox would near a baited trap. There were no words exchanged as the group crept forward in customary silence. A dozen or so paces in front of the wreckage lay the far-flung driver, an arrow protruding from his broken body, and beside him, a blood-stained effigy carved from stone. Miller was inconsolable. Jesper had always been her favorite. He had always shadowed her in the night, clinging to the hems of her every move, the way a child tails behind an older sibling. Tender-hearted, she had always called him, though deep down she had known that it wasn't quite true. His appearance of gentleness concealed a raw, resilient durability that emerged in the most perilous of situations. He had been a flower among the nettles of this cave, but he still had thorns, owned by a grim past and 100 hands of misfortune. They buried him in the darkness, in the back of one of the larger cavern rooms. He was interred with a berry basket and a silk handkerchief that he had treasured. The mysterious effigy they had found beside him served as a distinguished gravestone, a marker that stood out as somewhat special among the rows of similar swords marking neighboring plots. No one spoke, not even in whispers. There was nothing to say. Miller awoke the next day to a thunderous shaking and rattling of the earth, a far cry from the playful nudging of the previous day. She strained to adjust her eyes, but the choking sting of stirred-up dust caused her to flinch. Panic was also in the air. The sounds of scurried footsteps and clattering feet filled the space around her, but even in alarm the silence was louder. What was it that sounded so strange? Miller closed her eyes tight and used her feet to guide her along the passage. The whispers around her were getting louder, and intense voices could be heard ahead. Louder speech than she had ever spoken in the canyon. A growing dread grew as Miller approached the mouth of the cave, her eyes now open wide despite the dust. Shouldn't it be day? Miller felt a hand in the darkness, pulling at her. It was Ravia. The two embraced, and Miller did not need to see her to understand. Ravia placed two bent fingers against Miller's cheek. And with that touch against her face, Miller felt the same sinking feeling from the previous day. Two bent fingers confirmed what Miller had suspected. The girls had forgotten to relay one critical piece of information to the others. An hour or so later, the screams began. Blood-curdling cries of hopeless desperation. Captain Fodrick Lee of the Blackguard looked down from the ridge of the canyon to the collapsed entrance of the cave. Ah, he grinned. Now they speak. The end. Ah. Who wrote it? By Redford Ewing. I think Redford Ewing is part of my family tree. Thank you, Baldy Bad Guy. I will do my best. Adjust the rarity of the floor plans in your house. Sure. Could also just take a mailroom. Let's just do a mailroom, actually. Interesting story to just have in the middle of the game. Yeah, tell me about it. Okay. We have some more letters. We appear to have 3 more letters. So I think I've read this one. This is from Randolph Moore, who noticed that I was doing something in the lab. Hey, Simon. It's Randolph again. In my last letter, I mentioned the terminal network, but it completely slipped my mind to give you the network password so that you can log into it. Even with all off-site connections disabled, you should still be able to use the local network to access different house-based functions from any terminal, regardless of where it is located on the state, which you will likely find very useful. Network password is Swansong. Happy hunting, Randolph. I already knew that. Simon. Not sure if you paid too much attention to the machine in the booth in the lab, but I figured I could save you some frustration if you've been fooling with it. The contraption is the central control for power lines that run externally from the house. What? This contraption is the central control for power lines that run externally from the house. In the past, we've served as an emergency power source to the local community as we have modest hydroelectric capabilities with a steam turbine. If you want to use it, you'll need to first turn on the turbine in the boiler room and utilize our steam ducts to connect the turbine to the lab. This isn't required, of course, and I can't think of any reason in which you'd have to use the boiler to reach room 46, but feel free to play around with it, should you feel inclined to experiment. Okay, that's not a thing I knew. Hey, Funnel, he's Cider Man. This is an investigation roguelike? Yeah. I don't know if I can tell you anything more than that. It's a puzzle game, which is a roguelike. A roguelite, I would say, since it has meta progression. I wonder what 9 up, 3 up means. The other ones didn't have that. I mean, that probably means something. Simon, in case it's useful to you, here's a rough diagram of the steam duct system. Due to the ever-changing nature of the rooms in the estate, we ended up building the duct system to be quite flexible, and if you look around the ceiling in many rooms, you'll find many of them have been outfitted with steam ducts. As long as you align these rooms together in an uninterrupted string, power can be transferred from room to room, even if the boiler room and its intended destination are on opposite sides of the house. There's the pump room, the laundry room, the lab, and the garage. So I've done the pump room, and I think I've done all the things there are to do from the pump room, probably. I have not done the laundry room. I have not done the garage. Hey, generic. And presumably there are more letters. External power. Okay. I wonder what I meant to power up. Could power up the apple orchard. Commissary has items for sale. There's a closet. We just do the commissary. This also requires a gem. It's fine. I do still want to put together the sledgehammer with... I don't have anything to do with the magnifying glass today, I don't think. Do I? Wait, hold on. There was something I needed a magnifying glass for, and I don't remember what it was. Different book, I think. Get the done. We need to rotate it, though. One more time. Yeah, being able to rotate rims is very strong. Who knew? Let's grab some money from the pantry. And 1 banana. I'm hesitant to go walk-in closet because I am kind of low on gems. Closet can have a gem pretty easily. Parlor has 2 gems guaranteed. Did we just do parlor? It's not guaranteed. I have to do this right. At least one of them is false. At least one of them is true. Only one box has gems. This box is not empty. This box contains gems. Statements that contain the word gems are false. If this is true, it's false. It's contradictory, right? This has to be false. I think this contradicts itself, so it has to be false, because it just cannot be true. So if this is false, then all statements that contain the word gems are true. Or at least not all statements that contain the word gems are false. There's only one statement that contains the word gems. So for it not to be true that all statements which contain the word gems were false, this would have to be true. Now that can be false, and then that can be false as well. Okay, it's the white box. Ooh, magnifying glass. Okay. Let's continue. Okay, like rotating the aquarium. Placing it like that. Being able to rotate everything is so strong. Need a shovel. This is kind of nothing. Like it's just 3 different nothings. Since I don't have to go into it really, I'll just take the chapel. Carol, thanks for the prime. Appreciate it. I'm gonna take observatory here. I guess I want it to turn right. The chapel already goes up. Hey Feral Grand, hey Karanha, hey Gunda Road. Good morning everyone. This is the one where the gardens have gems in them. That's another gem. Alright, cool. So we'll have gems today. Apparently, I was meant to go for green rooms today. Because green rooms combo with gems. Well. Mr. Bucket, hello. Something that goes forward. Workshop's good. Might have a shovel in it too. It has the battery pack. I think I already found the sledgehammer in the commissary. I didn't buy it, but it's there. Maybe I should go buy it. And then all I need is the half lever. And I have... the thing. I don't remember what it's called, the like powered sledgehammer. Which I can use to break open the wall in the secret garden. Getting security wouldn't be awful, but I think I would rather take this hallway. Because I can open the locked trunk with my sledgehammer. Oh, and it's a secret garden key. All right, I am I am 1/2 lever away from breaking the wall in the secret garden, I think. He tried playing but got burned out by RNG. I think don't think about it as something you're winning or losing. Think about it as like every day you learn a bit more about what's going on. Just taking the storeroom's fine. Like, there are 4 different things or something that I care about right now today, and even if I am unlucky, I should be able to find something out about something. Hey, Tommy. Yeah, I'm having fun. Oh, there's a trunk somewhere. Oops. Wait, don't I have a key card? I think I have a key card. My bad. Yeah. That was before the library reading, so I just completely forgot. That was a long time ago. There's one trunk somewhere in the house. I don't know where it is. I think grabbing the lab is nice. I did kind of want to power the lab, and I cannot power the lab. If I put it here. Unless I get the boiler room immediately afterwards. But I think that's fine. Get some sort of experiment going. I don't know if I've ever seen something other than a magnifying glass be like an extra item in the lab. I already have the magnifying glass. Each time you unlock or bypass a security door, let's go gain a key, gem, or gold. I should get 5 or 6 of those. So it's like something, but it's not incredible. Hold on. I have the administrator password now, but I don't. So also, I don't even know if this is like where you put the administrative password. I don't know the first name of Mr. Rueda, but I do know that the admin password is the first 4 letters of their last name followed by the first initial, with the 1st and 5th character capitalized. So it could be... Sorry, spelled like that. I'm just going to try 26 because, like, probably I have already seen the first name, and that just isn't very many options anyway. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Sometimes Like, puzzle forcing feels bad, but this just feels like what I would do if I was faced with this in the real world. You cannot tell me, no. G. I. J. K. L. M. N. O. P. Q. R. Whoops. R. S. T. U. V. W. X. Y. And Z. All right. So, either... All right. There are a few possibilities. I could have done it wrong. I could have just like typoed. Mr. Ruoda could be a pseudonym. Like that's not actually the person's name. It's a temporary admin key, so it might have expired. The note is from February, so that's like, no, almost a year ago. Or this is for network maintenance on the central server site. This is not the central server site, so the password might only be relevant for the central server site. Anyway, all possible, I don't know. Let's do a walk-in closet. Can I show you the notes for the game? I don't want to do that because I don't want people to comment on my notes for the game. Is the issue. Let's grab a kitchen. Have any money. What's for sale today? The chef salad. Also don't have any green rooms. The chef salad likes green rooms. Special keys, secret garden key. Alright, so I have the secret garden. I don't think there's much reason to go into it yet. What I need to do now is I need to find very specifically the broken lever, which is findable in the greenhouse. Okay. The reason to go into it is I want to turn left, I guess. It would be novel to find doesn't matter. Oh yeah. Also my gardens have gem flowers in them today. Because my constellation had the 20 thing. So we have a drawing room. I can't really do lost and found, it's a little risky, yeah. I can redraw once, because I'm looking for like a very specific thing. The boiler room doesn't hit the garage ever from here. It could hit the laundry, I guess? I could reclaim the car key. I could take the boiler room and try to go cross map to the garage from it. Which rooms do I like drafting the most? I tend to go blue and green. Lots of blue and lots of green. Been my tendency. I'm actually down to try, because I learned something about the boiler room. I learned that after you have the boiler on, when you open the doors, there is more chance of them having a room with the power overhead thing. It's like passageway is the power overhead, for example. Unfortunately, after I take it, I'm completely out of gems. But I'll take it anyway. How do I want to get more gems? Don't know. Every time you unlock or bypass a security door, gain a key, gem, or gold. I guess like that. Taking guest bedroom here is fine. What colors do I like the most IRL? Blue and orange, probably? I'm guessing that the dark room has power, because I've been offered it twice. Feels like it would be unlikely for me to get offered it twice if it didn't. Yeah, it does. Interesting. So it still turns off, but that power is still running. Okay, let's try to get the breaker room. I do have the car keys available in like the drop-off thing in case powering the garage does something. It might open the external gate, which would probably be permanent if that's what it does. The closet to get some more gems. Nope. Metal detector and a key. Okay. I need more gems. How to more gems? Also only have 34 steps left. So that's kind of getting a little low. For my top 2 fruits, I mean, that's not a nobody can answer that question. Somebody asked me my top 5 fruits once, and I had trouble with that. There are way too many fruits. I can tell you what fruits I've had recently that were good. I recently had some excellent raspberries. And I've had some pretty good grapes recently. Okay, +1 gem. Nice, that's the way to get gems, I guess. So this power is still going, so we're more likely to find a powered room here. Is the corridor a powered room? Maybe. The passageway is. Wait, the laundry room can be powered. Just do that? Sure, let's just do that. Alright, what happens in here if it's powered? Metal detector's going. Shoe shine. Exchanges all of your feet with all of your jump. All of your remaining star things with your allowance permanently. Huh. So I could get 10 more allowance? Okay. Sure, seems fun. I have fewer stars now. But I feel like the 10 gold per run probably makes up for that. It is really unfortunate that I have no jumps. And I also don't have that many speed. I can go back to the gym and go this way before continuing from the dark room, maybe. What does allowance and star thing do? This gives you gold at the start of each day. This gives you bonuses when you go to the observatory. I drafted it today. I was just there. There it is. Also, you got +1 star every time you draft the observatory. I think I go to the gymnasium, probably. Yeah, I don't have many steps left. Oh. Well, I don't have any money. I spent it all. I guess I can do that. And the next time I'm here, I can maybe buy something more if I have more gold by then. Coat check has car keys. I just do the dorm. Sometimes the dorm has a gem in it. Had a bunch of gold. Oh, a bunch of gold. It has steps, yeah. Okay. So now I could go to the chapel and go up from the chapel. It's kind of a long way to go to the chapel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, we're fine. A little bit low, but fine. There's still the workshop thing to do too. If I can find the half lever. I forgot, I have the secret garden. So there's fruit like all over the place. Be looking for it. But that will help with going all this way, for sure. Did I find a room that bans chat yet? You know I haven't. Can't even take that. This is a gem in it, which is what I need. Also has room rerolls. I guess are good. Okay. Back to the kitchen. Buy the chef salad now. And the club sandwich? Like 36 is probably enough. I can grab the club sandwich on the way back if I need to. What is the short-term objective? I want to make a powered sledgehammer to go through that. This looks like I could clearly break it with a powered sledgehammer to me. I want to power the garage. That is the last room which can be powered, which I haven't powered yet. Still not sure what it does. I also haven't powered the lab. I should power the lab again at some point. Now that I know what that's meant to do, which is power things outside, apparently. Alright, I want to turn left while powering stuff. I'm going to guess that the archives powers stuff. Yep. Okay. I open these, I get bonuses. I don't know. I think we redraw. I don't remember the dining room powering things. Corridor powers things, probably. Corridor doesn't power things. Shoot. Well, rest in peace. None of these seem like they would have a half lever in them. This one might. File cabinet key. Also, it has the file cabinet key. So let's just real quick go straight back to the archives and try everything in here. There's a decent chance the keys for something in here. Yeah. Certificate of birth. This document attests that Mary Matthew Epson was born to Lady Clara Epson and Simon H. Sinclair in this hospital at 4:05 a.m. Tuesday, 22nd day of January in the 6th era 1958, and witness whereof East Reddington Hospital certifies that the information above is true as verified by its duly authorized officer of the Fen Aries Registrar of Persons, Lily Rissian Rose and Sarah Drivian. I don't recognize those two names, but that is my mother's birth certificate. So, cool. We now know my mother's birthday. That could easily be the date for one of the safes. January 22nd. Also, we get an upgrade disk, so that's a nice bonus. Where do we take the upgrade disk from here? Still 26 steps. I'd have to walk it all the way back to security. Let's do this stuff first. Only ever had the ballroom once before. Let's take it again. Experiment successfully gave me, I think, a gem. So when I walk in here, it does. It sets my gems to 2, which isn't anything. Anything else in here? Clara and Simon. It is 6 years before my mother was born. Okay. Wait. But that's with a different guy. Whoa. Right? Hold up. No. No. My dad's name... Sorry. My grandfather's name is Simon. I'm confused. My mother's dad's name is Simon. This my... I need to look at the family tree again. That's what I need to do. We're getting kinda desperate. So let's try a lost and found. Unfortunately, this can lose the thing I need. Lost my magnifying glass. That's okay. Got a repellent can and another safe deposit box key. Alright, that's like not bad. Unfortunately, if I come back through this room, I lose another item. Oh, I entered here with an upgrade disc. That is old. Let's take a look at what this is. I don't need any of those. What's this? Unless I could use the claim ticket to like get... Actually, what I should have done, I should have used the claim ticket to store my ornate compass. Because this item's broken. That's okay though. I like to imagine I have a board behind me where I'm connecting all the lore through red strings. That'd be kind of fun. There's no reason I couldn't do that. Spent a month inside the mansion. It's feeling great. I mean, that actually sounds really fun. Hold on. I have another... This is a vault key. The vault key is for in the vault, which I don't have. Okay. Go to security. We upgrade another room. Let's go closets. Closet can be upgraded to +1 extra item if drafted adjoined to a hallway. +2 extra items if drafted adjoined to a bedroom. +4 extra items if drafted adjoined to a red room. I see. An example of how red strategy is for expert players. I have not been tending to go for bedrooms or red rooms, so I think I just go hallway closet. It probably doesn't do much very often. I think I'm done. Anything I can think of that could be useful, maybe, would be to hit the workshop up and see if any of my tools combine. I might have new combinations that I haven't had before. The ornate compass doesn't combine with anything. The compass and the battery pack make an electromagnet, which I have had before. The sledgehammer and the battery pack also needs the lever, the metal detector, and nothing the key card, and nothing the salt shaker thing. All right. Well, I believe that's the day then. What was this message? The message was find among the white trees under 2 stones. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Whatever. Are they all the same size? Probably. It would be funny if this like had a way to just never have to do the logic puzzle again. Call it a day. On that day, we increased our allowance by 10 or something, and what else? Red shopping center. We got the outer room, which didn't give me anything I really wanted. Was that a reference to the parlor puzzle? Yeah, it definitely was. Got the mail room, so I have a package. Sleeping mask and a brass compass. Great, thank you. Have I done anything with the antechamber yet? I have. I have opened it. You get a basement key. I have gone to the basement. I've done quite a lot of stuff in the basement. Do I have any keys at the end of the day? That's a thing I could have done, actually. Let's do the tool shed, because I'm trying to very specifically put together some items, yeah. I got a shovel and a... what's my other tool? Sledgehammer. Nice. So sledgehammer is one of the pieces of the puzzle. You need 3 specific items. I have completed the chess puzzle. It gave me the Banner of the King. I got to choose which blessing I got, and I thought this was the most fun one, because I could, like, go for different strategies on different days. Although, I'm just going to click on blue every time I feel like. I don't know. I miss my thing, which lets you reorient rooms. Oh well. Early lab. Early study. Let's do a super early lab. This could do pretty cool things. Perhaps. There's a black color? Yeah, I know. Weird, right? I could make the entire house aquariums, I think. This seems like it gives me 2 rerolls. Also, maybe this is the boiler room? Oop. Workshop's good though. Okay, I just need the battery pack. I think I have to go drafting studio, even though it requires the gems. We need to get this, like, meta progression going. I'm taking this every time it's offered, probably. I am offered the casino, the clock tower, or the classroom. Interesting. These are 3 new ones I've never seen before, which is interesting because the previous times it's been the 2 that I didn't choose the last time, plus a new one to replace the one I picked. So that's interesting. Also, though, there's a goal to place 9 classrooms in 1 day, and I guess I would need this in order to do that. The Mount Holly Casino offers an intimate and exciting setting for wagers of any scale. And guests may be surprised to discover how much strategy is involved in the games featured here. A buy-in of 2 gems is required for admittance into this exclusive room. Access to Mount Holly's clock tower has always been heavily restricted. Time is sacred, and any tampering of the state's governing timepiece has never been risked. Time is sacred. I don't know if I knew that. I commissioned a blueprint made for Reddington Elementary. These floor plans were deployed in Mount Holly as a short-term solution to allow the curriculum to continue uninterrupted while new skills. I'm going to do this. Let's try to go for this 9 classrooms thing a little bit more aggressively. That seems good to me. Alright, I need gems. I need gems and I need keys. Everything sacred? That's a lot of things. I have other clock rooms. I do not. This is gems, this is keys. Gems are slightly more important. The other 2 boxes are true. If this is true, then those 2 are true, which means all 3 are true, so this has to be false. We immediately know this is false. Which means that one of the other boxes is false and one of the other boxes is true. This box does not contain the gems. This box contains the gems. One of them is false and one of them is true. If this box contains the gems, then they're both true. If this box contains the gems, then they're both false. So this box has to contain the gems. Sweet. Really, ballroom would be kind of interesting. Pantry. I get asked my favorite Pokemon on stream quite a lot. Why is that? Good room. Alright, now we can do some stuff. Ask yourself how many puzzles there are in this game when every new day has a new one. Yeah, like you could pay $10 for a puzzle book that had just the parlor game puzzles in it. And you'd be like getting your money's worth, and that is wild to me. That is certainly a thing to think about. Sure. I think I have not yet read this one. There's 2 of them. One of them's heavily redacted. I think this is the one that isn't heavily redacted. Well, I don't know if it is or isn't because I haven't read it yet. The attic has 8 items. Sure. What I actually need is a key card. Was that 8 things? I have no idea. This is the worst room. How could I possibly know if I've picked them all up? Probably 8, I don't know. This day might be over pretty quick if I get stuck at the drafting studio and don't find a key card. Make anything yet? Compass plus shovel does something. It makes the dowsing rod, which I haven't made yet. Let's find out what this is. While drafting, dowsing rod points toward rooms that may contain more items today than usual. Oh, that's really cool. All right. More item rooms. That like combos with trying to make other items. Very cool. However, I'm dead. I need to take this and get exactly... Alright, there are 2 things I can do. I can take the garage and just take my keys to the reservoir. Or I can take this and get exactly a key card. Actually, well... Didn't happen. Yeah, alright. Just go to the reservoir and use our 5 remaining keys. Too bad. At least something happened. Yeah, it just kind of feels like there are so many puzzles that even if your day doesn't get you through the thing you're aiming to get through, you're still going to like progress on something. I haven't even reached the point yet where it feels like I'm getting fewer puzzles the longer I go. It feels like I keep getting more still. These do remain open. That's nice. So, there's a lot of stuff going on here. The green memos and boxes near this box are lies. Sanctum key is not in a box, it is buried. So that's a lie. The sanctum key is in a box. Green memos are lies, but that's a lie because of this, so actually they're true. The black box contains allowance tokens. That's a lie. Red marks are always lies. The box containing allowance tokens, and there's no box containing allowance. Sanctum key isn't in a blue box, probably. Only one box in the reservoir has a prize. I think I believe that. Only one blue box in the water contains a memo with a true statement. There are 3 blue boxes here. I haven't opened any of them. The sanctum key is not in a box in the water. That one's not a blue box. I'm inclined to believe that. So like I think there's a sanctum key somewhere over here somewhere. Except this one said that it wasn't in... No, that's about allowance tokens. That's like completely irrelevant. Alright, let's just start opening more stuff over here. More than 2 boxes contain prizes. That's untrue. Sanctum key is in a black box. I am inclined to believe that that is true. This box contained a sanctum key. A sanctum key. Cool. So the thing is, unlocks one of 8 doors. I don't know what this does. I have no idea. Not a clue. Also, with the rest of my things, I can... Wait. When I read that, it wasn't true. Sanctum key is in a white box? Well, that isn't true. This box contained a sanctum key. When I read that, the box was currently containing a sanctum key. Pink boxes marked by suns always contain... we could walk around a bit and see if we could work out what to do with the sanctum key, or... alternately... This area exists which lets you use extra keys for puzzle meta progression. Yes. Alternately, I could just go next day and then come down here and see if I can get the sanctum key again, and then I could go next day with the sanctum key. Also, is that the sanctum? There's no keyhole on this door, is the thing. Watching me makes this game seem overwhelming. You gotta keep in mind, I'm like almost 30 hours into the game. So like, yeah. As part of the game being entertaining for that long, it has given me an awful lot of complicated stuff. I kind of didn't like the king on blue. It felt like all of my rooms terminated. Somewhere I have a book which tells you about the different colored rooms. It's like the drafting book, issue 4 or something. I think the blue rooms don't have that many exits off them. What does room rank mean? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, before I pick my king option, let's go see 2 things. First, let's go see if I can pick up the sanctum key again. We have more stars yesterday. Yeah, I traded my allowance and my stars. Are there drawbacks to ending the day? I don't know what happens as time progresses. I haven't gotten further than this. So far, nothing bad has happened. Please don't spoil things if you have seen further than this. Okay, so now I always have access to the sanctum key. Interesting, I found the sanctum key before somewhere else. So like, yeah. It takes me, it looks like 4 steps to get here. And then I guess 4 to get back. So it's not super cheap to go pick it up. Probably makes more sense to do it at a different time of the day. The only black room I know of is the vault. Do I want the vault today? There was stuff to do in the vault. There's the vault and there's the classroom thing. Those are the 2 things I want to do with this room. Sorry, the tomb. No reason to go here yet. What I need is the magnifying glass and the metal detector. They combine to make a thing which lights candles, and there are a bunch of special candles in there, which I can light. The thing does, like, all reset every day. So if you end the day, all of the stuff that you had done this day goes away. That seems like a fairly major downside. Permanent changes to rarity. I don't want this, like, ever-ish. Do I want it, though? I have such a high allowance, and you do kind of want keys at the start. Maybe I do want it. And then I don't have to, like... I don't know. The pantry I don't care about anymore. Get out of here. Or gold, don't care. Lost and found. Do I want this or not? I don't think so. Too rare for that one. Okay. Anything else in this room? I'm good. The parlor gives gems. The reading nook gives a library. Oh, let's do this. Let's get the library. That's the magnifying glass I need already. Okay, the history of Arindia. This is the new one, which doesn't have all the redactions. Arindia was once the name used to designate the realms of the Eastern Waters. Though the term is no longer employed in the halls of politics nor commonly known to the average citizen, its memory flickers in the hearts of those who hail from the lands that it once encompassed, and many of the elder generation in hushed circles still refer to themselves as Arindians. Yet we must not let the flame of our history dwindle into the obscurity of whispered conversations, nor permit our leaders to enjoin us to abandon the name of our land. We must keep alive the embers of our past and preserve them for generations yet to come. Ajira. This is Castle Arindia. Most historians mark the beginning of the First Era, often denoted as Ajira, by the ascension of the first king of Arindia, whose name, Horus, would later... Oh, so of Arindia is being redacted. Would later grace the burgeoning township in which he was crowned. Horus was known before his coronation as a prominent merchant lord of considerable means and affluence, whose sway in the region made him the ideal candidate for the unification of the surrounding provinces. Regrettably, history is not always forthcoming, and the surviving records of those bygone days are mostly limited to trade agreements and sales receipts. Nevertheless, we can deduce from these ledgers that Horus had but one aim: expansion. The territory spread forth from the heart of Horus, and by the end of the 1st century, the black banners of Arindia could be seen fluttering in every hamlet and hostelry, along every thoroughfare, from Horus all the way to the western banks. A new kingdom was born. It was the 4th king of Arindia who split this vast domain in 3 equal shares, 3 realms for his 3 children. To the eldest, he granted the fields and mountains of his great-grandfather, the middle province and heartspring of the kingdom. The eldest accepted the gift and called his new realm Arinda Aries, after the angelic paragon of royalty, Arinda. To the youngest, he bestowed upon him the realm of Arch Aries, the land of the northern storms, a wild and untamed expanse which at the time was not as developed but a good deal more vast than the eldest brother's lot. And to his middle child, his only daughter, he gifted her the southern region of Araja, the mystical realm of the ancestors, land steeped in tradition, magic, and the poetry of the old tongue. I didn't I think that's the first time I've seen the game like explicitly say that there is magic. Third era. As the second era drew to a close, 3 sovereign realms had achieved the period of remarkable progress and prosperity. Each of these distinct regions, ruled by their respective sibling monarchs, had blossomed, cultivating the bountiful resources of their lands and developing a unique character and culture that set them apart from one another. Despite those differences, the sibling monarchs managed to maintain friendly relations throughout their lives, and were known for their cooperation in matters of trade and transportation. The succeeding generations of their heirs continued that tradition, and the third era was defined by the construction of a vast network of railways that spanned the length and breadth of the land, linking the northern mountains of Arch Ares to the southern shores of Raja. This development facilitated travel and commerce between the 3 realms, further strengthening their bond and laying the foundation for the promise of a prosperous and bright future, a promise that would, unfortunately, as my readers will soon find, not be kept. The fourth era. As the kingdom of Arindia Ares entered the fourth era, a different kind of ruler took the reins of power. King Desolates III was a king who listened to the voices of all his subjects, from the most influential advisors to the humblest of citizens. He was a king who often was seen among the people, eating, drinking, and conversing, a sight that shocked not only the gentry in the court, but the masses as well, who could scarce believe that they, as peasantry, would ever sup with the crown. So this was redacted to make it sound like he was awful, but now it's saying that he's actually good. Okay. Desolates was renowned as the king of the people, and it was therefore a surprise to no one when he made the decision to move the capital from the secluded mountains of Reddington to the public stage of Auris, leaving castle and court behind. The people were overjoyed by this choice, and the king's city welcomed their king with open arms and great fanfare. Yet not all were swayed so easily. There were those that viewed the king's conduct to be unbecoming of his station, and were wary of how readily he could be persuaded by the tears and tales of the common folk. These dissenting voices planted the seeds of discontent, which took root in the lawns and gardens of the nobles of Fen, or, as I have been instructed to say, the grand city of Fen. The secluded mountains of Reddington sounds like where I am. I wonder if I'm, like, on the royal palace or something. Like the manor is built on top of it, kind of thing. Era of Ruin. After the passing of King Desolates III, the fourth era came to an abrupt end. Thankfully, the king died naturally in his old age and surrounded by his people in Auris, far away from the growing unrest among the western city of Fen. On the very next day, the 6th of October, the self-proclaimed Prince Learson of Fen declared himself the true monarch. This declaration was bolstered by a surprising number of supporters, due to the fact that Desolates IV shared his father's good name, but little of his virtues. As the prospect of civil war seemed inevitable, the realm's regiments were hastily recalled from the frontiers to stamp out and put an end to the Fensurrection. However, instead of restoring order, what ensued was a savage and merciless campaign against their own people. The gardens of Fen, once a center of splendor, were transformed into a battlefield as the cries of the innocent echoed through the streets, stained in red. I'm not expecting anything to be needing the magnifying glass, but I should probably check the pictures just in case. The brutality of the pacification of Fen did not go unnoticed by neighbors. As sympathy for the city surged, allies came forward to lend support. Among them was the general of the Northern Regiment, who, sickened by the barbaric actions of the other battalions, joined forces with Prince Learson to form a formidable army. Together, they leveraged their political influence and favors to persuade the nearby realms of Arch Ares and Nuance to join their cause. However, even with the tide turning in their favor, victory did not come easy. The War of the Fifth Era lasted 22 long years and saw buried 1 in every 3 men. Prince Learson himself added another number to the casualties. However, even in death he had won. Auris had fallen, and with it the realm. The black flags that had flown for 5 eras were burnt, and in their place red banners were hoisted in honor of the fallen of Fen. The few remaining members of the former royal family fled in fear of their lives to the south, forever exiled. The current era. Okay, so red flag are the people who revolted against the black flag people who were the royalty, but the successor was an asshole, so they don't like him very much. But the red people are probably like rich, I guess? I don't know. Today, the realms inherited by the three Fen Ares, Arch Ares, and Araja once again stand united as allies. Though the distance between our peoples has grown, our connection to this land remains as strong as ever. The spruce and birch that span across our realms serve as a constant reminder that we all share a common past, and as those trees continue to grow, so do our hopes for a common future. A future where we are not defined by the colors of the banners we raise, but by that which connects us, a land that we each call home. For this is, despite everything else, a land rich in history, a land of myth and wonder, a land that sprung forth the greatest empire the world has ever seen, the land of our fathers, of our mothers, and of our children. This land is, after all that has happened, still Arindia. Okay. So, the political redactions did not like us calling this place Arindia, but that version of the story does. And now we know. Items for sale? Items for sale. Items for sale. Pretty sure we like items for sale with a 24 allowance. I thought I already had a sledgehammer. Magnifying glass, sanctum key. Oh. This is the metal detector? I will grab a soul checker, I think. I need to find the workshop. And then I already have... And the workshop's common, by the way. I made it common. If I find the workshop, I already have the thing that melts stuff. The black box is false. The black box is true. These have different truth values. A false box contains the gems. These have different truth values. If this is false, there are two boxes. Wait, if this is false, then a true box contains the gems, which would be this. This would be the only box which was true. If this was true, a false box would contain the gems. That would also be this. Okay, so it's the blue box. Why am I not done with this game? There's a lot of stuff to do in this game. And I'm enjoying getting the most out of it. I have a shovel? No. The billiard room will have some keys or key cards for me. -4 plus 5 is 1 times 11 is 11. 8 squared is 64, minus 20 is 44, divided by 11 is 4. 3 times 5 is 15. Minus 18 is -3, squared is 9. Hey, White. I found the workshop. Ooh, I also have the battery pack. So I need the magnifying glass plus the metal detector makes burning glass. Can light candles and ignite flames. Go see what happens in the crypt. Yeah, did not think for a second that there were not secret walls here. Reroll dice. Reroll dice. And an upgrade disc. Cool. What else? There are more. I like these. Oh, that one fell over. Okay. Aural de Juris. Well, that's in code. Forget Oldine Inn. Wait, that one isn't in code. Paris Sinclair, Lou Henrepsenlu. I'm pretty sure it's in code, but the code isn't that complicated. Okay. Clicking this rotates the things around it. Clicking this pushes it down. It's a pretty easy one. Hey, Rourke. Oh, this is the lady's chamber key. Okay, so we can read her diary if we get the room today. E for diary. Found in crypt plus burning glass. It's not that hard to find. Okay, what else? Or is that it? I think there's a puzzle going on with the statues because I can interact with them, so how could there possibly not be a puzzle? But I am not sure what the rules of the puzzle are, etc. And I think if I have her diary key, there's a pretty good chance that that will explain what the rules are. So maybe we don't have to try to work that out blind. Maybe we can just read the thing that the game tells us. I don't see any other of the special candles that I can light. And honestly, that was probably like about how much you're gonna get out of this room, yeah. Sounds like it to me. Alright. In people's diaries is considered impolite. That is my mother, right? Or my grandmother? I think that's my grandmother, actually. Anyway, family member, it's fine. Moreover, dead family member. Oh, so you get reroll dice in order to make it easier to find the chamber. That's kind of nice. The chamber is found on the left side of the house, but only if you enter it from a room above it. So I need to like get up here and then turn around and come down. That is my current goal. Any shovels? Nice. I think the storeroom's fine. I have 4 redraws, so I am relatively live, even with only 1 door open. What do I need for the wall thing? The sledgehammer, and the battery pack, and the broken lever. So I'm 1 item out from that as well. Okay. An awful lot of rerolls. Can you enter the chapel with 0 gold? Probably. I don't think I've ever tried. It's an excellent one to get. And counter on spoilers today, 0. More likely to get green rooms? That's okay. I think I go dining room though to keep like the day alive. It's less about chat being in rare form and more about people still being asleep. I regret to say. Kind of needed the steps. Let's get some steps. I mean, I certainly need security more than I need classroom, but classroom has a better adjacency. Still need a way to work through keycard doors. The pool. Sure. Room rank is just steps north. That is correct. Security's back. Sure. I have an upgrade disc. I think my upgrades recently haven't been that exciting. Nursery. Whenever you draft a bedroom, gain 8 steps. If you have fewer than 10 steps, when you enter this room, set your steps to 20. Nurse's station. Indoor nursery. You draft another green room. So it becomes a green room. And it makes a bunch of gems. Sure, why not? I need this to turn right. I've never drafted the Chamber of Mirrors. Let's do it now. Just have never been in here, so I should do it. Probably. This is a puzzle. I see. What am I looking at? What do you mean? But I can't get over there. Like, I know it's mirrors, but also I'm there are no other doors for the chamber. Like, the doors aren't really here. Do I need to connect more chambers of mirrors to it? Oh. DC, did you like read the channel title? Let's have this open. Maybe the title's too confusing. Does it say don't give answers? Don't backseat spoil. Coach, ask leading questions. Suggest observe. Don't give answers. Maybe that's what people need. Sure. Oh. Alright. I still need... I still actually need the secret garden. Promising, though. Den works fine. I could also go locksmith here. Huh. Beholstein. We are looking for the ladies' chambers. And I think we just... Let's go veranda first, actually. Now we have higher chance of finding green rooms. And now... Oh, shoot, I need a key. Well... Alright. Keys. Locksmith, I think, is even better. I'm not doing the garage stuff today, but the locksmith can give me special keys. Is it the secret garden? Is it the secret garden? No. I only get one special key, I guess. Oh, well. You know what I can do, though? Actually, the prism key is really good. Because I can open this with the prism key, and it's guaranteed to be a green room. And I have 3 rerolls. I missed the first time. I missed the second time. I missed the third time? Wait, can this not be? I don't think morning room's even in the deck. So, like, excuse me? Oh, the ladies' chamber isn't a green room. Oh my god. Alright. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. We just get it here. It's easy. It's actually easy. We just get it this time. Well, shit. Only me to blame. Wait, whatever. I can still potentially do the secret garden stuff. Yeah, I just thought it was a green room, like, in my head, because the stuff on the sides is often green. I bet. You're looking for a secret garden key. Got another drafting studio. It's least it's not a wasted day. Oh, it's not a wasted day by any stretch of the imagination, actually. Alright, these ones I've all seen before. Let's get the kennel. Home to several of Sinclair's hunting companions. I was just thinking about this basically while I was asleep. And I was thinking maybe the kennel would help us understand the mystery involved in this game. That's in the classroom, I think. No, it's in the foundation. Right next to me. Special keys, one-time use. Yes! $40. Wish that did more than it does here. Okay, running a little bit low on steps, so let's go this way. What happened with the drafting studio safe from yesterday? Like yesterday IRL. I didn't work out how to open it. There are a lot of dates in this game, and the game does not communicate very clearly which of them I am meant to care about when cracking safes. It very clearly communicates that the safe's codes are connected to dates, but it doesn't communicate like which ones. So yeah, that's how that's been going. Secret garden key? Let's find out what the kennel is. Oh. 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 Puppies. Hello. Hello. Oh. Oh, you can pet the puppies. Oh. Alright. What do we have to learn here? Cat. Okay. I wonder if that means like a lot more than I think it means, because it sure doesn't seem like it means very much. Alright. I don't even know. Oh, because I have the Hall of Mirrors. Right. Chamber of Mirrors. This doesn't seem to have given me the secret garden key. Here's north out of this hallway. Billiard room. One 16. 1 5. Huh? Oh, 20. Okay, 10. Two plus 1 is 3, squared is 9. Minus 20 is minus 11. Oh, 2 squared is 4. Plus 1 is 5, and then we square it again is 25. Okay. 1 times 10 squared is 100. Divided by 4 is 25. Times 2 is 50. Squared is 2500. I don't think that's the answer. This isn't times. This is minus. 10 minus 10 is 0. Squared is 0. Times 4 0 times 2. Hold on. 0 squared 1? No. 10 minus 10 is 0. Then we square it, which is still 0. Then we multiply it by 4, which is still 0. Then we subtract 2, which is negative 2, and then we square it. Okay, it's 4. I was more confused by that one than I should have been, maybe. Draw another library. What even happens if you draw another library? I am curious. Rank is how far you are from the starting room. You can request another book already? Alright, so we read that. We read that. We read that. We read that. I don't know which of the drafting strategy books I've read. I'm gonna take a look real quick. I have read Drafting Strategy Volume 2. My notes are getting long. I have read Drafting Strategy Volume 1. I have read Drafting Strategy Volume 4. I read Drafting Strategy Volume 3. So, I don't think I've read this one yet. We'll request that for next time. Alright, I gotta leave this place. How many pages of notes? I have been just putting them in a Discord thread by myself. Just dumping all the screenshots in there. Then I have a spreadsheet which has a couple of different tabs, but I haven't actually bothered writing that much in it. Like, it's mostly I'm working off screenshots in memory at the moment. How much red string is that? Quite a bit. Quite a bit of red string. Power hammer time. How's the game work? That keeps changing every hour or so. It's a puzzle game. It's like a run-based puzzle game with some like permanent progress as you solve some things, but also everything resetting every day. Well, not everything. Like, some things are permanent, but most things are reset every day. And so, like, you have some existing puzzles which you're trying to solve, but you need to get a certain collection of things on one day in order to solve them. That is hard. So some days you instead get something else, and then you like manage to solve something else instead. I thought it would get at least one wall out of our sledgehammer here. Maybe I'm wrong. It doesn't seem like I will. The game is either making things obvious for you or telling you where they are. Eventually. Like, there hasn't been much in the game where I've had to use ridiculous amounts of thinking. Kind of interesting for a puzzle game. Wait. What day are we? Let's go open some more lockers. Maybe there's actually allowance. This is 33. Wait, I'm going the wrong way. Actually, it's probably worth it to see if there's anything I can break down here as well. I think I should bring the jackhammer here. But I do not have that today. But also the jackhammer, like, kind of specifically made it seem like it didn't do anything with the environment. Be a door there. Alright. You're so impressed by this game's commitment to making the player slowly explore things. It's really fun. Okay, do we try the tomb again? I think we try the tomb again.